Yeah, how much the glasses? How much the glasses? Talk to me nice.
That's gotta be $5.
Walmart?
It's gotta be. Yeah, that's gotta be.
Wait,
Armani. Okay,
From Asian
okay.
stores, I can't even verify if it's real. Oh, we also got the Takira.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Nice.
oh, give it a shot. Oh my God, he's
Us?
dripping.
My uncle's.
Yo!
I might get you put right.
Why are you coughing, bro? You coughing? This guy coughing.
Recovering COVID. No, I'm kidding.
You sure you're not doing other stuff?
Nah, bro, nah. I would never do the harams.
Are you sure, bro?
I'm clean. Nah. Welcome to the podcast, a special episode, the 420.
Bro, I don't even know how I look right now. I didn't even check.
Oh, we're like,
Cause there's no one back there. It's just us today.
we were finished filming the Miko episode, or we're in the middle of planning it, and then Ryan's like, because we do kind of a big setup, and it's more convenient if you shoot like 2 at once for us. So we're thinking about what we should do for the second one, and then Ryan's just like, yo, because the next episode is going to release around 420 or right on 420. We still have to decide. Yeah, we're going to film like a special.
Yeah. Why you
Friday.
don't put it on like my idea, cause then
I mean,
now it seems like I'm like the resident pothead here.
It's funny because when we first started like getting together as lab, you didn't smoke at all.
No, I
You
didn't
smoke at
smoke.
all.
I was what do you call it, clean shaven. I was like,
Damn, you clean shaven, bro.
sorry, I'm not clean, like straight edge. Nah, it's a jungle down there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was yeah, in high school I was like straight edge. That was it, yeah, straight edge.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't really drink because I feel like I had like a lot of allergies.
Oh
Got,
shit.
like,
Yeah.
hives and shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't really enjoy it. And then so then I didn't do weed either because low-key was like scary to me in high school because like, yo, I went to Markham, which is a very like sheltered, like a lot of Asian people don't really want their kids like smoking that shit.
Yeah.
So in high school I felt like, yo, I feel like in like different neighborhoods, we'll just call it, it's a lot more common to get into weed at a young age.
For sure.
In my high school was like, yo, like if you're like an Asian dude and you got in like grade 9, because I know some friends, you're like, yo, your whole perspective is like, yo, he's a bad kid, brother.
Yeah, the stigma,
druggies.
especially when we were going through high school, it was decriminalized at that point. But like, there's still like, like
The stigma.
This kind of like, yeah, there's still a big stigma behind it, and yeah, I feel like. Yeah, when lab started and everything, yeah, you didn't smoke at all, but I was a huge stoner.
Yeah, you were the resident pothead.
Wait, let me think. In lab? Yeah,
I think
probably.
so.
Because I don't even think Ethan smoked that much. You know, it's funny. He probably smokes more than me now.
You definitely smokes more than you.
Is that
Well,
what
actually?
Brad? Would he get cheesed? Nah,
Wait, what do
he
you
doesn't give
mean?
a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck when people know that.
No,
Yeah.
I think he should.
Yeah, and then now I feel like it's flipped where I actually took a year off, like sobriety off weed
That's
before
crazy.
this, just because I mean we can get into it in a bit, but I took a year off sobriety, so that was like March of last year, so 2023, and then that's when I feel like when you first started, you were just taking like 10 milligram edibles.
I wasn't even. I think I was like cutting them in half.
In half?
5 mgs,
Oh,
baby.
Well, it's funny because like OCS, the Ontario Cannabis like store, basically, or like kind of like the organization, the max you can buy or in a product is 10,
Right.
but they'll sell like 5 10s in a pack. So you like,
But then
take
it'd be
50.
like, it would be like, if you it'd be like 10, and then if it cut into 5, that's like
so you can buy like 2 milligram, 5 milligram.
Yeah, but they're like very
edibles
small.
and
Yeah.
things like that. So yeah, you were doing that initially.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, like, the story was also because at that time we were also doing videos with like Buddha Bomb, and then we built like that good relationship with them, and then like obviously having like access to like free/sponsored products for our videos just like made me like a bit interested.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, these
Yeah.
boys are talking about something about being fried. yo.
You're shooting videos of on gummies, and you're just like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have to
like-
try it, bro.
Yeah, this shit looks good. It looks like candy, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's crazy because I used to like be very against it or like not. Yeah, just like unsure about it. But I also do find I got into it at a good time, because I think if I got into it like in university or even like high school and stuff, I feel like I wouldn't really like be able to function or like abuse it.
Yeah, because
Well, because you started in high school. So like, when did you start in high school?
I hope my parents don't listen to this. I think I smoked for the first time ever, like grade 12.
Damn, we're just gonna get canceled after this.
Yeah, it was grade 12. So around like 20. It's important to date it because like think about legalization. So weed officially legalized in Ontario specific or federally 2019. My first year of university. It was like halfway, like around second semester. So in high school it was decriminalized, but you can still like, it was kind of basically the cultural thing in Canada, or specifically Ontario, Toronto. And yeah, so it was kind of started as just like one of my homies would have like bud, and we'd like.
So wait, what grade were you in? 10, you said?
12.
12, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the age.
Grade 12 is pretty like good. Like it's late enough where you're like, you've already done the drinking, you know? But
True,
like
true,
I knew
exactly.
mans that were like doing it like in grade 9.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But
I
then
imagine.
the thing is, it's actually kind of like normal, I get. Like people do it that young, but I'm like, dude, imagine me grade 9 on pot. Yo, I'll be like,
I don't know, bro.
I'd
I
be
already
going
don't-
crazy.
Okay, the way I view it, I treat it like alcohol, you know, especially after my like 1 year sobriety, is like you kind of, I think ease of access and kind of it's funny, the stigma now is that alcohol is more dangerous than weed or more addictive than weed, but it's still like a substance at the end of the day, and a mind altering substance. And as a creative, you know, it's nice because you get to kind of like, for me, like hits that part of the brain where it makes it easier for me to be more creative, where I feel more creative in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could absolutely be like an addictive substance. And maybe not on the level of like nicotine or some shit, but like you could definitely like be dependent on like the habitualness.
Yeah, I think it can affect like your lifestyle for
Yeah.
sure. Like if you do it like every day compared to like when you're not. And so like I think that's why I think like getting into it as an older age for me, because I got into it like, I don't know, when I was finished uni.
Yeah.
And people say what, like a male brain doesn't develop until like what, past 25 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
That's what they always throw around, the statistic. I do not claim that statistically, but you know, I think it is better to get into substances when you're older,
Yeah.
because
for
you're
sure.
a little bit more like,
Makes
you're not as naive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also I think you're a little less prone to abuse it early on,
I
or
think
like
so.
a little bit
Yeah.
getting into it later, because I feel like you have a lot more mature understanding of, you know, what it means to like take a substance or drink or smoke and things like that. You know, you're a lot more controlled.
I think in a way it helps sometimes my like, I feel like my brain like sometimes thinks too much. And so like doing it when you like want to relax, especially as like a creative, you're always like thinking about random shit. Kind of helps like blocks it.
It helps you like.
It helps
chill,
just like
actually
chill. Like I don't want to be thinking about shit too much sometimes.
Yeah.
But then I go on YouTube and then I watch a fucking like Andrew Tate video, and he's just like, you know, you want to be like thinking 24/7. Like why don't you want to? Maybe it wasn't Andrew Tate, but it was something like similar, like a Sigma male. Like it's like, why do you not want to be like thinking 24/7? Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm just like, fuck,
Yo, it's funny.
pressured, bro.
Yo, I feel like a lot of you always mention like the Sigma male cuts or like the Andrew Tate shorts and shit
Yeah.
like that, but it's like it's you're like completely not like that. You just fucking watch it for entertainment.
No, I actually, and
Yeah.
generally, I think that's actually like the content. Sometimes, like, I may not agree with a certain viewpoint, or maybe it's like an unpopular, or even to the point where like it's just a kind of a toxic. But I like listening or like watching just to at least like see that perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of the shit is like super outlandish, obviously. But I would also say like, just in general, like with like, you know, watching videos and stuff, if it's always the same like perspective over and over again, it's just like,
I mean, eventually, yeah, it's just that echo chamber
Yeah.
at some point. Like you want to hear different
yeah,
perspectives,
and
regardless
sometimes,
of whether you agree or
and
not.
sometimes again, I don't want to be like, oh, like I feel like certain things he does say are like also not specific Andrew Tate, but you know, that type of perspective is still valid, you know. But I wouldn't say I agree with like maybe like some of the like hardcore values or like, you know, that type of stereotypes.
I do understand that. I can see why especially if you're like a developing or like impressionable young adult or a kid growing up, where like you hear this sort of rhetoric, like the Jordan Petersons, like the Andrew Tates. I can understand why it appeals to them, because I think at a moment in time, like as a young adolescent, you kind of are just figuring out life, and they do a lot of great things. They do a lot of great things. That's fucked up. There is like merit in terms of the way some of the things they talk about, specifically like when they talk about discipline, being disciplined, or like, you know, controlling your emotions. Like those are some like pretty important things to figure out. But like, of course, the general grandstanding that they do in terms of like lifestyle, or like a lot of the more problematic things in their personal lives, or the hypocrisy of what they do and what they say, it's like, yeah, that part is like probably not good.
Yeah, I don't. Well, there's a lot of politics involved into it, you know, and so I think there is definitely a stronger, like, more what people will mostly like want to like tune in and listen to, and then there's an opinion where people will like don't really like, just because it's like opposite from, like, they won't listen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's like perspective.
Yeah.
Different like perspective, but
it also, for me, it makes me really appreciate like the actual like healthy male role models in my life, because, you know, especially like being around homies, like for us in lab, like mental health and talking about being vulnerable is like a big thing we emphasize, even in between as friends, right?
yeah,
Like being able to like be aware of your mental health, your mental state, like trying to be you know, not obviously we're creators, we want to grind 24/7, but like at some point you burn out, or like your mental health is in a bad place, and you'll like, that's way more detrimental to your long-term longevity, right, than just going hard all the time and grinding. And yeah, that's something I really appreciate about the people in my lives. When I think about like, oh, why, I'm glad I didn't have to, when I see like Andrew Tate's or like these pundits like talking about these sort of things, where I'm like, oh, like I've seen people like, for example, someone that is a really good male role model in my life is my dad when it comes to like discipline and things like that. And I see that, like, you know, growing up in a Asian household or like Asian immigrant household, the idea of discipline is a really interesting one, you know, growing up, where they force you to, like, you know, hear the stories of like, oh, you fucking do kumon like right after school all the time, or like you have to practice like 5 hours of piano or violin every day. Like there's a way they try to instill discipline in their own like sort of militaristic way, and like not everyone like receives it the best way. I would say like I did not really understand why they were pushing like this sort of like style of discipline on me growing up, but honestly now that I'm a lot older, I actually appreciate it, because I'm like, oh, like that sort of discipline actually really works for me. Like I need to practice like 2 to 3 hours a day on like sort of my musical abilities, because that's how I kind of keep up and improve. If I don't do that, I kind of like stagnate, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, they don't really teach it in the best way growing up, but I definitely appreciate the actual message they try to send.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of deep. And then low key, I don't even know how we got here, to be honest. We went from asking my relationship with the marijuana, and then it got like hella deep.
Yo, but like, oh yeah, so the reason why I quit the 1 year.
Yeah.
So my relationship with weed was pretty bad, because I probably just because
like
I
a
got
toxic relationship.
Not toxic. I was kind of just smoking like aimlessly. Like when you drink alcohol, there's like a purpose. Well, most of the time for us, it's like there's like an event or a social or things like that. But what ended up happening, and COVID was really bad for this, was that because of the isolation, that you kind of just end up smoking by yourself.
That's lonely thing.
Yeah, or like you couldn't see anyone or anything, and you're just stuck in front of a computer, either like making music or just like shooting the shit on Discord, gaming, and you kind of just hit it or like smoke without really thinking about why. Especially if you have like a vape pen, it's like too easy, bro.
Yeah, that's what I learned too.
And so yeah, I like just got dependent on it. And there's always the cope of like, because there's a lot of people that smoke cigarettes and vape around us that I'm like, oh, like it's weed, it's not nicotine, like, I could quit at any time, it's not addictive and shit like that. And then I just realized sort of that my mental health, when it comes to self-improvement, self-reflection, like I felt like my mental health wasn't in a good place. I felt like whenever I was down or stressed, like I needed to hit a bowl,
Yeah.
which that's just addiction. That's a dependency, right? So I took the time. 1 year is like arbitrary, I would say. 1 year is sort of for me, like when I
What do you mean arbitrary?
like for me quitting, it doesn't need to be a year. It could be 6 months. It could be like 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I just needed my brain to sort of figure out.
Jeez, this is this.
Oh shit! Yeah, what's good, bro? Nah, you can talk, man.
You want to
chill,
come on the podcast? Say some couple words.
Yeah, we're shooting the 420 episode.
Oh, I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told him.
Yeah, this 420 episode, bro. Yo, say hi. Say hi to camera.
What's up, camera?
Hey.
How y'all doing? You guys having a good time?
Yeah, we're blessed, bro.
Do okay, yeah.
Blessed.
I'll be back.
Yeah, it's chill, it's chill. So yeah, the reason why I quit weed for a year was yeah. Oh, sorry. The reason why I chose a year and why I say it's arbitrary is just so it helps me like in my brain be like, okay, I'm like quitting for real. Like there's no like I can't see any future inside. I'm like looking forward to like smoking again in 3 months. It's like a year is a long time, you know.
Yeah.
It's like not a long time in like. In
No,
the
I
grand scheme
think
of
it
life,
is.
but,
I
yeah.
think 1 year is a long time. If you think about like how much things can happen in 1 year, you know,
Yeah,
if you can like
exactly.
ride it out for 1 year, that's like impressive. And I remember you were telling me like you originally weren't even gonna do 1 year. You were gonna do like up until like you left to Japan.
Oh yeah, and then okay, so obviously there's a way stronger stigma in Asia about like smoking and marijuana. Like in some
Yeah.
places it's a death penalty / jail time, and so Japan had like this. In Osaka, they have like this THC, like not necessarily dispensary, but you get it like dabs, just at a place. And yo, I actually went to the place, like, cause I was just so curious. It's huge ass like fucking marijuana leaf, like as like a neon sign,
Yeah.
and you're just like, this is like surreal.
Yeah.
Like we'll probably
Japan,
we can
too.
throw it up on
Yeah.
on the screen right now to see it, but like it's actually crazy.
So like what is what is that? So yeah, it's a synthetic, right? Like they
Yeah, it's
grow,
synthetic,
So how
yeah.
do they? I remember you were telling me like, is there some way that they do it so that it's because normal like weed is still illegal there, right?
Yeah.
So how come this one is like an exception?
I don't know. I didn't really read into like the ruling on why that's okay. But yeah, it's synthetic THC. It's not actually like they don't use like actual bud. It's like actual just chemically engineered THC,
Right.
and they sort of like add it into like shit. And I
But
don't know
they
why
smoke
that's
it?
okay.
They
Yeah,
just
you
vape
can
it?
hit dabs like straight up.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it was like $15-$20 a hit, which is kind of
Damn.
expensive, but
yeah, that's some omakase shit, bro. Omakase weed, brother.
yeah, I hit 10 of those.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah, I don't know why it's okay, but it was like surreal to say. See, but yeah, I was like really interested. You're in Japan, you're in Osaka, like
Yeah.
there's so much good food, and yeah, I told you I was probably gonna break it there and then restart the year from there.
Yeah.
And then when I was in Japan, I was looking at it, I'm like, it's not worth it. I'm so deep. It's probably like around the 4 month. I was about 4 months in. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'd rather just like continue. Like I don't need to smoke here or like consume THC here. I can just wait. I'll just do the year. Like I'll actually just quit for a year and then come back to it. And yeah, I was really happy with the decision. Do I regret not smoking in Japan?
Nah.
Uh,
You regret?
Okay, I don't regret it in terms of like, I really should have. I regret it in terms of like, that would have been dope. The food is so fucking good. Imagine like slurping ramen.
That is true.
Yeah, that shit is
But
fucking tasty, bro.
I recently realized that I have my munchies are crazy.
Uh-huh.
Like you know this. For fucking playing games, I'm gonna start snacking. Bro.
Yeah.
Who the fuck? I don't remember who was like we were in Discord. I'm like eating and it's like yo the fucking like you know I like chicken cheese. Oh, it's Dan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it sounds like the ticket.
Yeah.
The ticket.
Cause I'll be like start eating like chips and shit. But yeah, yo, my munchies are crazy. But what was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say like I enjoy like that type of munchies, like snacks stuff. But I find like at least for me, if I want to like enjoy a cuisine, I sometimes find like it gets overwhelming when I'm like fried and I eat out.
Oh.
So like,
I see.
recently we went to like Brazilian steakhouse
Mm-hmm.
to celebrate Henry's.
About 1 year.
I don't even know what to call it. Like when you end it, or what is
Yeah,
it?
1 year sobriety.
Sobriety.
And I break it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. And go to Brazilian
Yeah.
steakhouse.
So we went to Brazilian steakhouse.
Yeah.
The food was great, but it's just like everything gets like maxed out, and it was still good, but it's just like
It would have been more enjoyable if you're just sober anyway.
I would have enjoyed both. I just want. Oh, I think what I'm trying to say is it's a different experience. There is
Mm.
still like a reason to enjoy food like sober,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it's because it's such like once you enjoy it like high, like consistently, then you don't like remember what it's like sober. And then I think that's also important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And so quitting for a year is great. And I'm back here. Also, yeah, I was going through it last week, bro. Like, I was so sick. Went to a cottage for a weekend. I just died. So that's why I sound so nasally right now. And also,
You just got that EQ on you, bro. Your natural
yeah.
EQ.
Yeah, that low pass shit.
Yeah, that low pass.
Yeah. So it's nice. I haven't smoked in a week, basically, because I was so sick. So it's kind of nice to, vibe again.
Yeah, I think that's what my goal. I like try not to do it like too much either. I think once or twice a week, or even just once or twice every other week kind of thing. I think is good for me. I find that at least with like my use with it, like I try to only do it when like I have time to relax. Like if I'm a busy week, it's not like I try to put it in. But
you're also too busy. It's like you're not even thinking about smoking. You're just like working.
That is true.
Going to bed, cooking and shit. Like just living life,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think. Oh, also, we went pretty deep in terms of like the usage of weed while being fried, but that's kind of sort of the thing we always talk about when we are fried. Yeah. Interestingly enough, it's just like, are we abusing substances? Like, do we have a healthy relationship with weed? And like, yeah, it's great that like for example, like Ryan's tolerance went up, but like, is that necessarily a good thing? Who knows?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
It's cool.
The optics of it means that you're doing more, but I don't know. I don't think I'm gaslighting myself, but I do think like I have a pretty like. I think it's helped me on my day to day, especially when I didn't have it before. A lot more anxious, but definitely, yeah. Still need to be like conscious on like how often you do it, and like if you're doing it too much, is it like something you like shouldn't be doing, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to. I think I have a good balance, but I'm still always trying to be like aware of it.
Yeah. Do you think it like beyond like just being able to chill harder or helping your anxiety, like? Do you feel that smoking weed or like taking edibles has helped you with your creative life and your ideas and things like that?
It's hard to say. I wouldn't say it's like a direct like contribution to it, because at the end of the day, I think as creatives, if you want to think as, especially for a video, things that are so like practical, you do need like a sense of like you have to be sober in a way when you're grounded. I think weed is a little different, where it's more about, it makes your sensories be a little bit more easier to be pleased, if that makes sense. Like it's easier to enjoy a movie, it's easier to enjoy music, it's easier to enjoy video, it's fun to play games, but you lose a little bit of that grounded sense. But in like return though, you can kind of really focus on like what feels good. So like if I could like break it down to something that's a little bit more technical, like for editing, I can't do like technical things if I'm fried, because it's like hard, right? Like it's like, oh, does this make sense? I'm making these cuts, but like sensory things, so like coloring, for example, I'm like a lot better.
Oh,
right, because it's like it's less about, when you're editing, sometimes you're chopping for like sequences, or you're like figuring out the story, you're figuring out the pacing, like that requires a lot more like grounded and like sober like thinking. Whereas like coloring, for an example, is like very much like, oh, like how does something look, does this look good? Yeah, there's like the technical stuff, like making sure you're not doing the wrong adjustments or whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, it's like what looks good is like what looks good.
Yeah. And you find that doing better high.
Yeah. But in general, I try not to work high, just because like I think you can also overlook like a lot of mistakes or sending the wrong file, like stupid shit like that.
Yeah. You want to avoid doing that.
Yeah. Well, for music, do you think it helped? Like, do you cook fried?
Yeah.
Cooking the beat fried?
I flip flop, or in terms of like, I actually like both, where things like mixing or more technical aspects like mixing, mastering, engineering, like you do need to be like, it can't really do that high at all, because you need to make sure like things are technically correct, and when you're listening, you have to listen for accuracy. And when you're high, it's hard to judge what is accurate. Like, you can see the numbers, but I also want to trust my ears, and I can't in that moment, or in that mind state at least. Yeah. So those sort of things that I definitely need to do sober. But when it comes to like actually just making music, like, it's great high. And I feel like I definitely take more creative liberties. Or okay, I think the funny things is sometimes you cook and in the moment you're just like, yeah, yo, this beat's sick.
Yeah.
Then you listen when you're sober the next morning, you're just like,
Yo, what the?
yeah, you're just like, what did I do? Why did I think this was cool? You know? So you definitely have moments like that. But the good part is that like you're just having fun cooking, and then you might actually just have a revelation or figure like something really cool.
Yeah.
In that moment.
I think it offers different perspective actually.
Mhm.
Same thing about what I was saying before. Like, it's actually something that's good because when you're sober, you might not think about like that, or you might not try it if you're high. So
Yeah.
again, I like sometimes it helps with projects. I think it's just very dependent, but more or less, yeah.
Have you done it for? Have you like edited the podcast high?
No. I think not edit podcast, but sometimes when I'm doing like the final things, like I just need to export or send. Maybe like it's like, oh, this is something that I still need to do, and then it kind of came up. Then I'll do it, but no, I haven't edited the podcast high. Obviously, it'd be kind of, I don't know what the experience would be like, cause like I'm already there, I already heard it again, and then
True.
if I'm being fried and I'm hearing it again, maybe I like would enjoy it. But
I do usually listen to the podcast like 2 or 3 times by the time it's like finished editing and like
Yeah.
final export. So I do sometimes I do get fried for it because I'm just like, I also listen to it at 1.5 speed. It's interesting to hear myself talk so fast all the time.
yeah, cause you're probably like,
Yeah. And I'm like, oh fuck, like did I really talk this way? But yeah, because I listen to it so many times, I just need to speed it up a little bit. And I've heard the same things before. And when you're doing quality check and things like that, it helps with the monotony a little bit.
Of course.
You know, well, speaking on like talking about the podcast, how do you think we've done? So this is going to be episode 13 specifically. We kind of started at the end of the year last year, and we're going into April now, end of April. So kind of, what are your initial thoughts about the podcast so far? Because, well, just a little bit of context. We kind of conceptualized, or Ryan brought up the idea of like we got to commit and do the podcast because we kind of talked about it before. Similar idea, but we were fried. We're like, yo, we should do a podcast. It'd be cool.
I have another idea. I want to do like a DJ thing too.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. Yeah.
And then we kind of shooting the shit and kind of came up with this idea, and Ryan finally was just like, yo, let's just fucking do it. Let's commit it. And let's execute it. And let's make it happen. And so for Labs specifically, we wanted this podcast to be kind of like a platform for creative to showcase, not only showcase like creative talent in Toronto or the GTA or within our circle, but also just to create a platform to be able to show kind of the behind the scenes or how industry works, just from directly, first of all, from younger people, like kind of coming up and discovering our role in the industry, but also, you know, like-minded.
Do you think we're setting a good example by doing this at a non-sober?
Say, okay, I don't want to be I don't view myself as like a role model. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay,
I don't think
fair.
people should look up to me as like an individual person, because that's not what first of all, I don't really advertise like my lifestyle as like part of my brand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just the music, and maybe that ruins some people's perceptions, or like, you know, or like some people would view us different because we smoke weed or we record this podcast high. But I think I don't sell myself as someone that you should follow. And I don't recommend people to like be me individually. Now, of course, in terms of striving to be a better human being, striving to be like a more empathetic person, and just generally just try to be your best every single day, like, is smoking weed and recording or smoking weed all the time, or talking about this lifestyle like a good idea? Maybe not. Maybe it is.
We're not like glamorizing it,
Yeah,
though. You know what I mean?
absolutely not. Yeah, and we thought it would be a good idea, and
It's
also
just
like
like-
stream of consciousness like type beat.
Yeah,
what I'm
you know,
saying?
at
Just
the
talking
end
about
of the day,
shit.
it's like, I don't want to go in too deep into like, you know, what substance we're using. That's like on their own time. But at the end of the day, I think the whole point is just to, you know, if you have your thing that you do, you know, it's pretty normal. You know, could
Well,
be
I
whatever
mean-
your thing is. You know.
On the opposite side, it also can show that like you can, like, not necessarily live the lifestyle, but like you can smoke weed and be successful.
Yeah. But if you also don't want to, that's chill too.
Yeah, I don't.
We don't-
I'm
we
not telling
don't-
anyone to do it. I'm
Yeah.
not telling anyone that I recommend it. It's just, this is our experience on it,
All right.
and we just so happen to be here right now, Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't want to be canceled.
Nah,
We
you
don't-
get
we don't wanna be
You'll get
canceled.
canceled. But anyways, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on the podcast so far?
My thoughts, yeah, I think overall it's like been great. Obviously, with like everything that we do, we always have to try to find time. We could be super busy doing other shit, but I think what's been very impressive is just we've been able to like keep at it, and also like definitely I can see like a lot of like I feel like you feel the same, like there's a lot of potential that we can do, and so I'm like super excited on what we can do. I think we've had really great people talk, and like to your credit, I think you've done a great job with just like as a host in general.
Oh, thank you, man.
Like producing it. Like I know, obviously trying to find people is not always like easy. Like we try to make like
especially
everyone has
creatives,
like
bro.
yeah, big schedules, but I hope even like to the viewers and stuff. Hope you guys stay because Henry and I we're gonna keep trying to push out some interesting people to talk to and different perspective, and eventually the goal really is to start doing these like at a more like weekly, because we do like bi-weekly right now.
Weekly is a little difficult right now, I think, just based on schedule, and also it's a little hard to be like you have to talk to like a lot of people and schedule a lot of people, and I feel like the weekly podcast, they're sort of like self-sustaining in terms of like you can just have like 2 hosts like shoot the shit for a podcast, like it doesn't matter.
Right, but if
like,
you knew a guest, you guys,
the
100%.
way we formatted, like we kind of need a guest, or the idea of it is that we're supposed to have a guest, so it's a little more difficult being a weekly thing. But
that is the goal, though, or at least like you will like load it up. Load. But look, I think, I think I'm very positive of like where it's going, and I think we've been pretty good like positive comments too for the most part. Right?
I love the comments.
Yeah.
I read every comment. There's one that popped up recently that was talking about, I don't know verbatim, but they were just had really kind words, and they really seemed to take in what we were like talking about, and the essence of why we made it in the first place. Like I've really felt that in that comment, and so there's definitely a period where I'm like, damn, like are we wasting our time? Like are we just talking to nobody? But I really appreciate the people out there that show support and leave comment and just engage, because it really motivates us as a team to like keep going, and also gives us feedback in terms of like we're doing something good. We're not good, so we're doing a good job at this. And there's at least people out there that want to listen to us and are interested in our guests and things like that. So I think we're on the right track.
I think so too. I think, I think like. I think it's always hard to start it, starting something. But like once you get rolling, I think it's good.
You figure a lot of things out too, and that's kind of the big advice. I feel like I always ask like, what advice do you have for young creatives? And the answer you get the most is just start. And it's really interesting because it really is just that easy. You start, like maybe there are like some things that are like rough in the beginning where you kind of don't have it figured out, but you have to do it in order to figure out those things, right? Mm-hmm. And then you realize, you find your workflow, you find your mojo, and now we're here, and now we want to keep going.
Now we're here. So I guess the next, well, actually, on the topic of podcasts, is there anything like you feel like you're excited about for like the next coming ones, or like what are you?
Yeah, the big thing for me in this podcast actually is. I know all these people like outside of just talking to them here, but I never really get to, and for some of them, you do get to talk about like deeper creative or existential topics and things like that, but you don't really get to sit down and just talk about why you're doing it.
Yeah, I think it's hard because it's like, even for us coming down like in front of like a camera or whatever, you become sheltered, right? It's hard to get like vulnerable in front of like an audience. But I think it's important though, still to hear. Yeah,
it's interesting. When we first recorded, I think I was a little like also rigid and frozen and things like that in front of a camera, especially. But now it's kind of, you just don't think about it too much. Like
actually, this is still
into your soul. Wait, it's just that camera, right? Oh, it's still like, you still feel like
one. Yeah.
You still feel like
because it's like I've always been behind it, right? And then even doing like the podcast, like, I don't know, seeing like other people, I just realize how articulate some people are when they speak. And then when I like speak, I'm just like, I don't know if you do this, but sometimes I'm speaking and I start thinking about like, I'm hearing like what I'm saying, and then I won't be able to, I get distracted. I'm thinking about what like I'm no sorry I'm not thinking, I'm listening to what I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
and then like I lose train of thought, and I'm just trying to like not sound like a dumbass.
For me, no, I definitely have those moments. Specifically for me, because I listen to when I'm listening to these recordings, I'm also thinking about how I can do better as a host as well. And I actually had a huge phobia of like public speaking before. It's still kind of like speaking in front of a crowd is a little scary still.
Yeah.
And because of that, and like I stutter a lot, or like I just get nervous. And also when you talk to your boys, you just like incorporate a lot of slang, or you have like certain speech patterns, but it doesn't sound good when I say like, or like exactly like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We say like 5,000 times in the middle of a sentence. You're just like, bro, like please stop. For me, myself, listening to myself, I'm like, I gotta stop that.
You want to slap yourself, bro. You fucking listening, you're about to slap yourself, man.
So we have these when we are recording. I had to. Those are the things I'm sort of like being conscious about, like not saying like too much, not saying too much, and just being, and also transitioning topics and just being like keeping the flow good. I was sort of uncomfortable with like we usually have like a doc with questions and topics that we should run through, and so it keeps the guest and ourselves like on the same page about what we're going to talk about. And I had a list before on my phone, and I would just like refer to it like, oh, I gotta ask this question, you know. But now I'm just listening to the conversation, and those are good points to hit on if there's sort of like a lull where I feel like we've talked about something enough. But yeah, when you actually get at the conversation, I feel like the podcast is a lot better when I'm actually just listening to the guest talk and then deriving things to ask from there. And I didn't realize I can yap so much, bro.
You a yapper, bro.
Yeah,
huh?
I don't feel like I
talk.
talk. I feel like I don't talk that much in a social setting.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But
like I talk. I'm social, but I'm like,
I feel like
if
you're
I'm,
social. Yeah.
I can be quiet too and say nothing in the corner.
Yeah, I think you just have a good brain. You know, you think about it really fast. What to say next?
Yeah, maybe it's
I don't think I can keep it up, to be honest.
You wanted to so I was still pretty nasally, and my throat was really bad for the day before we were gonna record that podcast, and so I needed Ryan to fill in for that. And I think you're surprisingly.
I mean, I'll step up and do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, how it'll go, like who knows? You know what I'm saying?
On a week to week. You don't think you can do it week to week?
What? Sorry?
Like episode to episode. You don't think you could do it every episode?
No, I don't think so. Well, I'll do it if, like, maybe I'll do it like once in a while. I can do it, but I don't know. It's hard to commit, definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Because you have to like. That's what I mean. That's why, like, to your credit, like, I think you're like really good at that as the host.
Thank you, bro.
You know,
I appreciate that, man.
But I don't know. For me, it's like definitely, like, I'll imagine like, yeah, like I know what to say. You know, it's nice to talk here, and then when you're fucking gotta speak for 1 fucking hour, like you don't know what the fuck to say.
Yeah.
I don't even speak that much, and you know what I mean. But you like constantly have to speak. Like like you go networking, you speak to someone for like 10-20 minutes, and then you just leave.
Yeah.
You gotta speak to them for like an hour or so.
I feel like, in terms of like surprising myself, like being a yapper. Yeah, I didn't realize. Well, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but. You know, when you shoot the shit with your homies is one thing. It's like easier to talk. Like if any of the lab boys are through, or like one of my close like music homies, like when we talk, like, or we recorded some episodes, I feel like I know them personally, so it's a lot easy. I'm a lot more comfortable. Yeah. But when you have someone that I don't necessarily know that well, like you're in the circle where we bump into each other at shows and things like that, and we're friendly, but like actually getting to talk to them for an hour, and important thing for me is keeping them interested. I don't want to feel like them coming here is a waste of their time.
Of course.
Or they're like, oh, that was like a bad experience, you know?
Yeah.
I really want them every single time to like, oh, that was really fun. Like I would come back here again.
Right.
Or like even like endorse it themselves, like, you know, advertise it themselves. So that's like where sort of my nervousness or kind of concerns come from.
Yeah. I think to your point though, and like you know, obviously what you said, I do find the ones where sometimes maybe you don't know that person as much, or you are maybe on a little bit like you have to prep a bit more. Do kind of like the product of the podcast itself is sometimes like, when they just say like better, but a different, a more improved like perspective, because like it's also like understanding, because like you meeting them for the first time is also the same as like a lot of people who are watching. So like you get to ask the questions that are like make sense. You get to really like see what they really have to say. You know what I mean? Sometimes, but I do find like the ones that you know them, you can be a little bit more vulnerable. But again, it's sometimes like hard, like with the camera.
Yeah. The big I will say the hardest thing to do for a guest is like, you can prepare a list of questions before, but you don't really know what will make like I think my favorite moments on podcasts is like when you talk to them, you see like you ask the right question, you see like a sparkle in their eye, you know?
Yeah.
Like actually, and they're just like, oh, that's interesting, or I didn't think about it this way. Like I want to talk about it, or they didn't even know they want to talk about it, and I'm really trying to like get it out of them, and you don't know what it'll take, so you kind of just try different things. That's really what I'm trying to do.
Do you think you could be like a Nardwar?
No, I don't go that depth in research.
That would be crazy, bro.
Yeah, I just pull up some shit. I could do that for
Google,
I can do that for you guys. Like I can pull up some shit, but
yeah, you can pull up some outlandish shit. Bro. This podcast not gonna happen anymore if that comes up. You know what I'm saying?
And then I can pull up that shit, but no, I don't think I do Narwhal. That's
how do you think he gets his info? Like, he has to have an insider. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, he definitely has. No, he has like a team that really like goes through and does a lot of research.
But some of that shit's like fucked, bro. It's like, like some shit like you don't even like post.
Mm-mm. You know, it's not even that. I think especially in the age of the internet, like we really leave behind a trail,
right,
of who we are in our personal lives, and I think we're a little more in terms of we've been in it for a little bit longer, so it's a little easier to understand like what it means to have like more security in your life and keep your private life more private and not leaving a trail. But like before, it still is probably easy to just go like on Facebook or on like a fucking random social media platform and find like a personal account of somebody, you know. But yeah, I am mind blown by like the in-depth amount that Nardwar has. Damn, we just touched.
Damn, it touched your tits like that, huh? That's why we're far apart. Every time you have a podcast with dudes, there's always like an empty space.
Yeah, you can't. Yo, I just can't be like, we can't. It's a casting couch, but you know.
Yo, you see, it's not a casting
distance.
Come on now.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, this is my corner, bro.
You had females on this. Like female podcast, you know, like they.
What are you talking about?
Nah, I just mean like.
You doing the haram stuff?
Can't.
On this
no, not the harams on this one.
Nah, not on this one. The beanbags though. Shit.
Yeah, the beanbags, they kind of broken.
Yeah. Oh wait, what?
Well, not broken. They just kind of flat.
You just fluff them up, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad, you know, kind of. We're always trying to improve this podcast. That's where we started. We're always looking to improve the podcast however way we can and bring as many interesting guests as possible. And we want to continue striving to sort of put and inform the audience as much as possible and kind of walk through our personal journey when it comes to industry stuff and our creative journey and things like that. So yeah, really appreciate you guys supporting and listening. And I don't take it for granted at all. Like, even if it's like one person or 10 people or 100 people listening or 1,000, you know, eventually, I would hope. I don't take anyone that listens for granted. But we really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was deep. I think the next project that I want to do is like doing this like DJ thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that'd be sick because, I don't know, I like look at it. I think now that I have I moved out to my place and I'll have something like playing in the background. Or like I have music playing. It's nice to do those ones because it's like you don't have to like watch it, but it's also like aesthetic, something that you can play in the background, and there's like some nice tunes.
It is cool, and we also know some like pretty cracked DJs around. It'd be cool too.
So it'd be sick to just do film it like for an hour set.
Yeah,
post on the
like a
channel.
Series.
Yeah,
it'd be cool to showcase a lot of like the places in Toronto too.
Yeah,
I feel like one underrated part of some of these like DJ sets and things like that. There was like the higher AOMG or higher music. They kind of did like a DJ set, and it'd be like in a bar or in like a clothing shop, and it was really cool, like the setting and where they're shooting.
Yeah, I want to do like different like settings, because like we also know so many like local businesses in Toronto that would like support it and stuff like that. So it's like, why not? Like I think, yeah, just being like another content thing that we can do for Lab, just have some more community involvement.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Listen to some music.
Maybe we can even do like this is like a random idea, but maybe you can do like an actual like live event.
Oh yeah.
And also record like a DJ spinning at the same time. Like it'd be a cool vibe.
Yeah, 100%. I think we want to do like concerts and shit.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, for Lab.
That'd be cool.
But I I feel like it'll happen this year. I think so. Just cause like like I think when summer comes this year, like work with so many different like artists recently. Like I think we can pull something together.
Like a festival type.
Yeah, like a mini something.
Mini.
Nothing maybe like too crazy, but just start. Like you said, like you never know until you just start and try.
Yeah. Fuck it. Yo, I'm kind of down. That sounds cool.
That's what I'm saying, yo.
Yeah.
Well, we don't even know as like artists, we can do
Yeah.
like a couple shows, not shows, but like at least do like a couple performances.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is a leak or not. Technically, it is, but Lab Tapes is starting up again.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and so it would be nice in terms of the idea, and it's kind of along the lines of like why we do this podcast and things like that, is be able to showcase like talent and creatives, and specifically for music in Toronto, like we work with a lot of really cool people, really talented people, so it'd be cool to
We don't want to name drop.
get it all together all
wanna
in one
name drop.
project and get some content out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, with some content. So, speaking of which, I guess like in terms of that, what are you excited for that project?
Wow, we've been talking about it for maybe like 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. What I'm really excited about is, one, getting it done. Two, it's just fun, like the dream tapes, or you think about like the higher music, like red tape, blue tape, where it's really cool to see so many different types of artists just come together and get like a project done. So many point of views, so many styles, and when you're in that studio and like something clicks, and you're just like three people that you probably didn't even think you were gonna work together in the first place, and you make something happen, and like it's magic, it's a magical feeling. So it'd be really cool to be able to, one, experience what it's like, not only for us but for the audience to also experience what it's like to be in those sessions, and kind of what we can like cook up in those sessions.
Yeah.
And like put them out.
Yeah, and I'm excited to do definitely some like video element or like visual component to it. But yeah, I don't know. I think with Lab, like we've always wanted to kind of build like a community, and so like it's always cool to kind of like be able to put something out there with our name on it as Lab, but also like with other artists,
Yeah, exactly. And some of these people might even just be artists you've never heard about before and aren't that big, but like they're fucking cracked. So
Yeah.
I mean, when you pair them with like really with someone like Ethan, for example, like I think it'll do a really good job in terms of showcasing and putting their name out there to the world.
Yeah. Ethan, our star.
Yeah, we're just using him, bro.
Of course, bro. That's how it is, bro. We need to.
He's still our
read the
most viewed
amendments.
podcast, I think.
No, he actually isn't.
Wait, which one?
You know which one is? Emmys.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, Emmys is most viewed, which is interesting. Not because like, I think it's interesting in terms because like sometimes, whatever, we'll just say like just statistically numbers. Like some people will have like more clout, but I think at the end of the day, it just like goes to show like you never know. You know what I mean? Like it's always at the end of the day. Like sometimes like people have a specific perspective that they would want to listen to. Like some people for a long time.
I will say specifically for Emmy, the interesting one. Well, one, she's just an interesting person. I think she has a great story to tell, and she's really talented. Also, like specifically, I mean, I don't really think of it as like, oh, like Emmy was like a woman, so we're gonna bring her on and things like that. It's more like
you try to hit the diversity tokens, brother.
Yeah, that's fucked up. No, I wasn't thinking of it that way. I was thinking of like she has a great story, really interesting person, and it would be cool to be able to like have a conversation with her.
Yeah.
And also like there's also partial truth where I don't know about all creative industry, but music industry for sure, like there is just not a lot of women doing it, you know what I'm saying? And there are a lot of women on the top of the music industry, like Wonder Girl, like she's fucking cracked, you know what I'm saying? And so the best of the best, they can do it all the same. It doesn't matter what gender you are, like what race you are, where you come from. Like if you're cracked, you're cracked, you know what I'm saying? And it's really important to also get that visibility out there for
100%.
women in the industry, and specifically in music. So I thought also it was a good idea to have her on, have more conversation, and we'll definitely have more in the future. A lot of times it's just like scheduling makes it tough.
Yeah. Try to like, let me think. Have we only been interviewing like Asians?
Oh fuck.
Yo, don't worry, bro. We're gonna get some of our
Yeah.
non-Asian
Low-key we
friends and
have.
families. Who?
Well, I don't even think that's on purpose. That's just the people around us.
No, of course. Like
Yeah.
I think we mentioned this before in the other podcast. Like it's not like a. It's
I'm
not
like
we try to
only
advertise
picking
it.
Asian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like that. It's just like obviously when your community is surrounded by that, it's easier.
Yeah.
But no, like I think we're
Also think in a way, it is important to showcase
Asian
talent
talent.
as
Well, I
well.
mean, yeah, I mean that's how it is, bro. Markham is like all Asian people here,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you know it's good to at least give like a representative like platform,
Uh-huh.
because you know, and Asian people aren't like they aren't encouraged to go down the career path of a creative, but.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, what else can we talk about, bro? Where are we
I don't know.
at?
You can ask me whatever you want.
Honestly, we're pretty close to an hour.
Fuck it, do 2 hours.
2 hours. Okay. Well, I mean, I think a sort of a last question is, for me, what's the future for Lab? You know, what's exciting about something that you have in the works, or sort of like future plans, or even just like the current state of Lab and things like that. Like, what are your sort of feelings on it, bro?
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I have like 2 things to talk about. The first one, and then I think in general with how like Lab has, you know, obviously has changed a little bit, but for me personally, I think like a couple of months ago the back, like I told you, like I now moved into like kind of like a co-founder position, like with Coven. But I think one thing that I guess we haven't really like publicly like told anyone or said anything, and I think it's just like kind of just figuring out like sometimes I think in order for Lab to sustain, we need to still have some of those like business values to operate from.
Yeah,
And so sometimes, like as you know, like some things might have changed, and this is more of like an internal thing. But I also think it's kind of important to talk about is that you know, you can have a collective, you can have a creative, and you can focus a lot on like making the art. But at the end of the day, you need to find a way to make it sustainable so that you can take care of your friends, you take care of your people. And for us, for Lab, was also a little bit to do that, to shift into like, okay, like now we have to find, you know, if Coven is busy doing a lot of the outsourcing and talent side, then usually I would help with like the day-to-day like operations, you know, maybe the technical side of, you know, for video productions for sure. And then me and you will work very closely on like the content creation side and like making it. And so I think kind of splitting it off from there was like when we talk about first like with Lab, whatever, and all of it was kind of like just everyone would figure out like what would the best way to do, or like, but the issue with that is like everyone's trying to like figure out like what their priorities are.
Yeah.
And this is totally normal, and I'm sure like this is something that like can be echoed with other like creatives and things. But like if you have like a team and a tribe, which is super important, you always want to build your team and your tribe. Like some people are just going to prioritize other things over the other, right? And that's just how it is, right? And I think that's normal. But I think what I wanted to realize is like my priority has been in Lab, and I think I want to see it through. And that just simply means like maybe taking over a specific leadership role, or like taking a little bit more like initiative to do that. But needless to say, I think it's understanding that like sometimes change is not like a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just like a thing that helps like make it sustainable.
Yeah,
if that makes
for sure.
sense.
But yeah, it has to be sustainable, right? Like we don't even have this office / set to film on
This one?
if it's not sustainable. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly. Yeah.
So there's certain things you need to do in terms of on the business side, just to like make sure the lights are running, like literally, and obviously like you don't want to sacrifice art, or like want to feel like you're sacrificing art in order to like chase monetary gains. But there is a bare minimum you need to hit, and you need to sustain yourself in order to create art in the first place. So sort of some things just have to be done.
I think it's just like adding kind of like perspective too, because I mean Coven comes from a different perspective than mine. He actually has more of a music background. You know, he had a lot of social media experience, and so his thinking is like very different from mine. And so like when people ask me like, oh like, or I would say like my relationship and Coven's relationship is very like interesting in a sense where like we are great business partners. We work great. I love him as a friend and even like a brother because we've grown up for like a long time. But I wouldn't say I'm like super close to him. Like people assume that like my closest friend would be like Coven. Like hell no.
Yo, I got his feelings.
I was kidding. No, but he understands. It's like sometimes it's like, I think me and Coven have very different values. Sometimes it's clashes with like how we want to like move towards a certain way with the company, but at the end of the day, I think why we work well together is that we understand that like his weaknesses are like things that I can like accommodate for, and my weaknesses are usually things that like he can accommodate for, because like again I come from a different perspective, and so like we work together well in that sense. But it's not always like easy like decisions. Like we definitely have like arguments on like how certain things like should run.
Now that I think about it, how do you find balancing, and Lab has done a really good job with this in terms of the people in it, how do you find balancing friendship and also business? Because you're always warned against it, where you're just like, oh, like, don't mix friends and business, don't mix family and business and things like that. And is generally good advice, right? You probably shouldn't. Like, business is difficult, especially sometimes when like shit hits the fan where it gets tough, like, conflicts and things like that will like make it difficult to have like an also personal relationship on top of that. Yeah. So how do you find that you've balanced it, and why has our relationship and collectively like been kind of worked out so far?
This is like a really interesting question, and it's a very loaded one actually. And I think that was actually even in like, I remember like Rennie's podcast, he kind of talked about it, where it's like, well, one's like at the end of the day, like if everyone's priority is with, like, we'll just say Lab as an example, then it should operate at the best interest of Labs, and so that's usually fine. It needs to be very transparent. You can't sugarcoat things, because then that's when people like misinterpret things. You have to be very like strict with it, with like terms of business. But that is also why like it's kind of hard to do that when you are like friends and family, because like you don't want like sometimes certain decisions are hard for them, but that like it's like in a relationship, right? Like let's say you and this person are like in a relationship. Well, it's called dating, right? Like girlfriend, boyfriend. But it's the idea that even when conflicts arise, you two will come out like stronger. In a sense, like you two will still, like, whatever happens in the storm or this challenge or like whatever, you two will still be like together, right? And so it's that idea where instead of thinking that this challenge or issue is going to be the thing that ends it, or like it's a mix off of like an ego thing. I think everyone just needs to be on the right mindset, and so that's helped within Lab, because I think like it's just being like honest and like, hey, like if this is not your priority, that's totally cool. Don't hold it like against you. Like at the end of the day, sometimes you do have to volunteer your time here. The budgets aren't, you don't always get paid, but like believe in the vision, really. And so like that's the biggest thing. I don't know, I kind of like went on a spew there.
No 100% agree. Like, yeah, the mindset is like, that's what has sustained everything mostly. There's definitely times where like shit is tough, where a decision has to be made and not everyone's happy about it, but like end of the day, like we're still great homies. Like I'm not gonna let that affect us,
And like it's weird, because I think it's also a time and place for, like, I was also kind of just figuring, I wouldn't say like I'm done figuring myself out, because like I'm still figuring, but it's like at least I finished school. Like I literally, like, honestly, like without Lab, I think I'd actually be like, I don't even know what the fuck I would do, because like when I finished school, I was like not really putting in the work and grinding as I am here. And I think the one thing I even said is in their like first part is like the reason why like I'm so like fueled by this is just the idea, like I get to work with like you, I get to work with like all the homies in Lab, like Jackie, Paul, Dan, Amanda, Ethan, Coven. Hope I didn't miss anyone. But it's
Ian is walked through, bro.
Oh yeah. Well, he was here, so he said hello.
True.
But yeah, and Ian too. And many more. And I don't want to just single, like, you have like all the makeup, the glam team. Like there's 100 people I can name.
We'll get the glam team through.
Yeah. It's just this idea that like people really actually like believe in this and like want to like be part of like Lab. That makes me like, all right, like I need to like grind. Yeah, I need to show up and be like that best like person to do it, because like if it's not me, then it's not gonna be anyone else, right?
Mm.
And that's just like the mindset that I have when.
Mm. Nah, I respect that a lot, bro. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we're at time. That was a quick hour.
Yo,
We were just
that's not, bro. We can keep going,
yeah,
bro.
easy for sure. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I hope our rambling isn't too off-putting. And this is a listen-toable, like you can listen to this fucking podcast.
I think so.
Oh, we'll
Yeah,
see.
I'm
We'll
not
see when
like-
I listen to it back. Yeah, I'm gonna send you messages. I'm like, yo, I can't listen to this. Yeah, this is bad. We gotta go again. But yeah,
Round
thank you for
two.
listening, and we'll see you on the next one, maybe.